And so we've been asked to speak, but I'm going to let my son Daniel, the oldest grandson, go first.
Okay, so I read in a book the other day this quote that made me think of my grandpa. One of the characters describes somebody else, they say, you know what, he's a great man, but even better than that, he's a really good guy. And that makes me think of my grandpa. There's a lot of qualities that qualify him to be a great man, but I think to me, he was just a really good guy. I think everyone here has been touched by his sense of humor. Last night, my cousin Andrew and I were speculating, was it a deliberate thing? Was it a response to, he felt like he needed to cheer people up? Was it just part of who he was? And I think the answer to that question is probably above my pay grade to know for sure. But I think we concluded a lot of it came from his outlook, how he saw life. A bunch of the funny things he said were just based on observations. They were invitations for us to see the world through his eyes, not to take things too seriously, to be able to greet difficulties with a laugh. There was never anything malicious in his humor. He didn't use his humor to put people down. Unless they were from California, he had choice words for California, including me. And while he really enjoyed entertaining others, that wasn't the point. It wasn't some urge to get people to like him, but entertaining others was the side effect. And I really think that was just the way he saw life. The memory that came to me the quickest was I had come to Colorado as a kid, solo, and we were up at the cabin, my cousin Andrew and myself with my grandpa, and he took us on an adventure. He drove his little Geo-Tracker on trails that probably had no business driving that tiny little car on. I remember using a winch to get up over a log. And I don't know, it's just looking back, and I'm pretty sure there was plenty of moments where he talked to strangers passing by his way and start talking about who knows what. And, we probably had this interaction too. I asked him, Grandpa, who was that? Oh, I don't know. He just was quick to make friends. We go down to the lake, we built a raft out of some fallen log, and he's like, well, check this out. We put it all together and built a raft and floated around on it, and then he gave us survival tips for next time I get lost in the woods out here in Colorado. He said that columbine flowers are edible, but you're not supposed to pick them. Told us to watch what direction on that the moss is growing if you ever get lost. And then, like Andrew said, he said if you're ever thirsty, just suck on a rock. And sure enough, he picks up a rock and puts it in his mouth. Okay. Sure, Grandpa. But what stands out to me from that is that everybody is worth talking to. These are the lessons I've learned from Grandpa, that people are worth loving, talking to, investing in, and staying loyal to. He's had lifelong friends, longer than he's known me, probably. Also, that life is an adventure. And because of that, don't take it too seriously. So in conclusion, I feel like God blessed me with that love and presence. I miss my grandpa a lot. But these memories and lessons he left behind, none of us can really forget or walk away from. I love you, Grandpa.
So my company that I work for had a national officers conference, and each participant was asked to select a single word that started with the letter P that best describes them. I thought about being a smart aleck and say Plymell, but I instead chose the word paternal. And this was about 3 years ago. And as I've been reflecting here lately, I realized that thanks to my dad's influence, I really became a dad. Thinking, speaking, acting like a dad, but not only to my 3 kids, but to the people around me. My dad was a very good dad to me. And he rubbed off on me and so many of us who had the privilege of being around him. He was relatively hands-off with me and gave me a remarkable amount of freedom, a lot of trust, and allowed me to learn from my mistakes and to try new things. And he and my mom really teamed up to treat me with respect. By the way, I don't think he will be jealous of Aretha Franklin having a 6-hour-long service today. Speaking of respect, but My dad, I never felt like he treated me as a lesser being. And he rubbed off on me, and so many of his values can be seen in the things he did that I've had a chance to reflect on and realize that I'm imitating the same things. I've had a really wonderful week this week reflecting on my dad's life and his influence, both from my memories and from others' memories and comments. He was a dad and friend to all. And as I summarize the values I picked up from my dad, maybe you'll remember and see a few of these as well. Play. Dad loved to play. My favorite childhood memories were getting on his back. And that might be on the floor, which is always fun. And sometimes you do push-ups or ride around horsey. Or what was really cool was when we would get in the pool and we could hang on to his back as he went underwater and swam around in the deep end with us. But he made things fun. Sports. He taught us to ski. Not by sticking us in a lesson, but rather strapping rental skis on us and teaching us to herringbone up the hill, the bunny slope. And ingeniously, he taught us to balance on skis, kept us from getting cold, and made us appreciate finally getting to have a lift ticket, while he managed to save quite a bit of money in the process. He also showed me how to play a number of sports in our backyard. And at any time, our backyard was a football field or a basketball court. He taught me about track, about baseball. And then while camping and later on in our cabin, he taught me how to fish, how to hike, and as Daniel alluded, how to survive in nature, and also how to shoot things. Time together. His love language was time together. We spent hours on the ski slopes, and even more hours on ski lifts. He taught me to paint, and he and I would watch football games and paint down in the basement. That's really what we were doing. We would listen to the Broncos and the Buffaloes games on the radio. He also taught me how to drive. I was very proud of my ability to parallel park, to drive in snow, to drive a standard transmission, and also to learn how to drive on four-wheel drive trails. I also learned how to use power tools and how to sand and paint with the grain. Work. He saw value in putting his kids to work for him. Make no mistake, it was not a single-handed construction of a cabin. He had a loving wife who kept us fed, and they had small children who helped do a lot of things that no one ever would want to do. But one of my dad's favorite P words was projects. Hey, Brian, I got a project for you. And I knew what that meant. It was a project that usually involved picking up rocks of some sort and moving them from one place to another. And my sister and I can tell you all about that. But from those projects, though, I learned the value of work. I learned the value of perseverance and pushing through when you don't feel like it. I learned about delayed gratification, and I learned a lot about proper lifting techniques. Principles. He had clever sayings. He didn't just teach them, but he would have me make a sign that contained those clever sayings. Frugality. It started out with wood skis that we spray painted, but really stuff just didn't matter a lot to my dad. We got cool gifts, but learned to save our money for more expensive things. And then we learned how to stay out of debt from him. Acceptance. So I remember in the late 60s when we'd have young women in bell bottoms that would come over with their guitars after running away from home and playing their guitars in the living room while my sister and I were trying to sleep. But my dad provided that safe place for those young people. He engaged with everyone. And even when he was sick, he still pushed on and would engage with the nurses or anybody else that was attractive. And thanks so much to my mom, who took such great care of him and still taking him out in public and allowing him to enjoy his routines and see all of his friends. As Daniel said, he made friends everywhere he went, even if he didn't know who they were. Humor. He used his clever, quote-unquote, sense of humor to engage with people of all generations. Little kids, teenagers, college students, older adults. He was such a fun grandfather and great-grandfather. Susan and I have agreed that we think he got funnier as he got older. But he was always cracking jokes, opening doors with people, lightening the mood, taking the pressure off, as Andrew had mentioned in his Facebook post. And last of all, loyal friendships. My dad made friends for life. You're here. You were there for him for decades. You can't even remember when it started. And his example of loyalty in his friendships has stuck with me. I thank you all for being here. He would want me to thank you all for being here. Thank you for being his friends and for loving him back. If he were here, he might say you went a little too far by lowering the flags for him. But he really appreciates all